the decrease that whole clash of civilizations by expanding the core world out into other places, so they get better healthcare, they get better services, they get better quality of life and better information, technology, education, and everything. And by sort of expanding those things, you can decrease, war and culture clash like that.
But that's the thing about the clash of civilizations. It's not about more information or more democracy or more whatever. Because, for instance, it's divided into like 6, 7, 8 different civilizations, and each with its own motivation and all that. And the thing was that they talk about how there's Confucianism as one side of it, and then there's also like the Western liberal democratic nations. And when you talk about democracy as a way of living, it's one way of living. It's not the way of living.
Right.
So that's a problem. And other countries, they want to create their own style, their own management, or their own cultural way of living.
Right.
And so they don't accept some of these ideals, which has its pros and cons. I mean, America has its own shares of problems too. So,
without a doubt. But by the same token, expanding things like healthcare and expanding things like communications and expanding access to information, all kinds of information, good and bad, it can still, by having the ability to access that for everyone, it can make it easier or harder, but you can still sort of build up whatever you want your culture to be, however your civilization is going to go. Getting more people access to all the sort of fundamentals like that is going to make it easier for you guys, for whoever's doing it in the long run. I think, at least. I mean, sure, there's going to be friction, but, allowing people to learn, it's easier for you to propagate the information about your culture out to people you want to get it to, just as easy, and to people who aren't a part of it, just as it's easy for people in other cultures to get their information out to people, they want to target the people who don't know anything about it. So it's a two-way street. And I still think that by, being able to sort of get that access information out there, you can do a lot more in terms of promoting understanding. And yeah.
Because the problem is that, when you open up the bandwidth and make it duplex in a sense, right? That's the proper word. Duplex, yeah. When you have a duplex... Full duplex communication, yeah. The thing is that you also open up channels for a lot of noise. And a lot of... One of the problems that, for example, some countries, developing countries are facing, like China, and in cases like Japan even, you've got cases of collective action or collective intelligence, right? Which has gone astray. For instance... there's this book called Smartmobs, and it's all the idea that people know what to do best when they get together, they can self-sustain and so on. Problem is, if someone gets it wrong and enough people latch onto it, then you get what I would call online lynch mobs.
You mean like 4chan? Yeah, like Anonymous and 4chan,
so
the internet hate machine.
That's the thing, and it's become so powerful that in some countries it's caused malice and bullying. It's cyberbullying taken to the real world context.
Well, the thing is, that's not unique to sort of the internet. You ever been to like a local town meeting? You get the whack jobs there who want to get up and make their speech about hearing radio through the fillings in their teeth or whatever. I mean, it's just, there's much more of an audience and there's much more people who do that. It's a sort of broader access with the internet, but that sort of kook mentality problem isn't unique to the internet. You can find that in...
That's true.
You can find the village idiot anywhere. You can find that guy in the town who, no one talks to because he's weird.
That's true.
It's just now that...
It scales in that way.
It scales.
But the problem... That's the thing. You're talking about the benefits of having a full duplex situation where everybody has access to information, which is good. Yes, everyone should have it. But the problem is that some cultures, they've started to experience too much noise and too much unrest that they'd rather have someone manage the whole thing. And that's why one of the primary concerns, when the latest Pew Internet Reports surveyed Chinese netizens, right? They found that as much as 85% actually like the fact that the government's regulating the internet, because they found that, granted, there's less political freedom, but they don't care about the political freedom. They care about the way of life, and they found that the way the internet is being used over there, it's more malicious. And it's different. Like in Japan, I read about how the Japanese blog and how they don't write bad reviews for things. They don't say bad things there. They write or they blog, they share, mostly because they want to record. That's the primary purpose. But for different cultures, it's different. Some is to cause malice. And so there needs to be some control.
Or you could let it regulate itself. not to go all Darwinist on everyone, but if you are getting a, an online culture or whatever that is that malicious, let it burn itself out. It's not particularly nice to say or anything, but at a certain point, it's like maybe it'll get better when it's done. Burning off those particular elements that aren't the best.
Yeah, survival of the fittest.
You say the same thing about Western liberal democracy. There are some serious problems, and if you get that sort of infinite feedback loop with the really bad stuff, it's going to get so bad that it just implodes, and then you're hopefully rid of it, and hopefully didn't take out everything else with it. That's kind of the gamble, that it's not going to, destroy all the good stuff too. Oh darn, I'll try again.
I like the idea that it's organic in that sense, that it sorts itself out naturally. But there's also the counter-argument that whether the whole civilization can survive that phase.
Exactly.
And that's also a different problem.
It's finding the balance there is the difficult part.